Hello, viewer. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Anne Moremi. I'm your host. We always are very happy when you join us and when you interact with us. And I want to remind you that there are quite a few forums that you can be able to engage with us. The first one is YouTube. This show is live on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is GBS Kenya. It's also live on Facebook. Yes, the Facebook handle is GBS Kenya. We also have an SMS line. The number is 21144. So feel free to send in your questions and your comments, and we'll be able to tackle them during the show or at a later date. So in studio to me, I have two lovely ladies. And before I introduce the topic, I'd like to give them this opportunity to introduce themselves. And I'll start with the lady who is on my extreme right. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Wambui Ndongo. I'm from Montreal, Africa, and I'm a co-director and a co-founder. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Welcome to the show, and thank you so much for coming. We also have another lady who's to my near right. So please introduce yourself.
I am Joyce Mushiri, and a co-founder too, and a lead consultant at Montreal, Africa.
All right. So today's show, we're going to be discussing a very interesting topic. We're going to be learning and hearing more about how we can provide financial literacy for our children. So thank you so much for coming. And thank you for actually not just coming, but spearheading this discussion and going ahead and forming a company that focuses on financial literacy for children. So before we get to what the company does, maybe you can tell us a little bit about what you're aiming to achieve. Maybe Joyce, you can tell us what Montreal Africa does.
At Montreal, we have a lot of programs,
Okay.
but one of them is basically on children and youth.
Okay.
And from this campaign that is ongoing for 1 week, that is from 25th to 31st, we want to reach out to as many children as possible. Okay. We want the information to get out there,
Yes.
so that at least we know the children are able to understand more about money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You've talked about this week of 25th to 31st being important.
Yeah.
That means that there's something we're celebrating this week from
Yeah.
Monday to Friday. Joyce, tell us what's happening this week that we're campaigning about.
It's called Global Money Week.
Okay.
It's an international campaign,
Yes.
basically dealing with teaching children, exposing them to basic money management.
Yes.
Yeah, basically.
So it's actually a global campaign,
It's a global campaign.
and it's spearheaded by an institution.
Yeah, it's an initiative of Child and Youth Finance International.
Okay.
That is CYFI. It's been we've been celebrating it in Kenya for the last few years, as we joined in 2017
Okay.
under the championship of Central Bank of Kenya.
Okay.
And there are many players
Yes.
and many partners who partner in passing out the information,
Yes.
where children get an exposure to financial institutions, how they operate.
Oh,
They
yeah,
get to
okay.
visit the Nairobi Stock Exchange. They go to the Money Museum. And
There's a money museum.
yeah, at the National
Please
Museum.
tell me about the money museum. I've never
There's
heard
the
of
Money
it.
Museum.
Yes.
What happens is it's at the National Museum, whereby all the evolution of they can be able to understand the evolution of money
From the days of barter trade,
all that.
the different currencies.
Yeah, it's there.
When we used to have a 10 shilling note, do you
All the
remember
notes
those
are
days?
displayed there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now we have coins. We
Yeah.
used to have 10 cents, and even 5 cents we can remember. But of course, all those have gotten
And then
phased out over time.
from before the coins, we used to have the notes.
Yes.
And then we now, like 20 bob, we had a 20 bob note. Now we
Yes.
have a
coin.
coin. The evolution, generally the journey
exactly
is there at the museum.
Yes.
And they get to learn more about money.
Oh, that's very interesting. I'm sure it
Yeah.
must be very exciting for children.
It's very exciting, though the challenge that has been there, not many children know about the Global Money Week.
That's true.
Yeah, so it's a task to all the players to pass out the word,
Yes.
and also to make as many children and youth aware about it.
And that's part of the reason why we're here, because we're here to just create more awareness about the Global Money Week. It's happening this week, and if there are any more activities, maybe we're going to get to know more about them. I encourage the viewer to actually Google, because this information is online and it's very easy to know which is the closest avenue that you can be able to engage in.
Yeah.
All right, so Joyce, I'm wondering, I know I'm looking at Wambui, so I wanted to ask you, what are some of the things you remember, like learning about money when you were young? Is there anything that you can remember you learned at a young age, either taught to you by your parents, your teacher?
My earliest memory I can go back to is when I was probably in class 1. Those days we used to have a model shop in a classroom.
Yes.
And we would have this, I think the government used to give some money, you know, plastic money, and we would sort of trade with that. But we knew it as a medium of transacting, exchange, yes, buying. That's what I can remember about my
growing up.
Growing up.
And was
but
the
really,
money, was the money like identical to the real money, but in plastic?
It was, yes, it was identical. Like the 10 cents and the 5 cents you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was plasticky.
Yes.
But it really looked like the money, so it gave the child a sense of knowing that you're dealing with the money. But really, looking back, I didn't get the concept of the value of the money. I didn't have financial literacy. Yes, I knew money was for buying.
Yes.
But I didn't know how do you make money, you know, how do you spend it other than going to the shop. Things like savings and all that.
You didn't have that idea?
I didn't have
until
that.
later in life?
Unfortunately, until much later in life.
What about you, Joyce? Do you remember what is the earliest memory you have of interacting with money, trying to understand it when you were a child?
I wouldn't say much about it because as children, there's the way money was viewed.
Yes.
And as little children, we used to see like at some point, people used to explain money like as a source of all evils.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, whereby you'd think that having money you'd have to engage in a lot of vices. But as children, of course, we would get excited like when you're visited, you're given 10 shillings.
Yes.
Yeah, but we never had the knowledge of how to put that money together.
Yes,
we never got that in at the right time.
Yes.
And as we grew up, it was never a culture for us to start putting the money together, like saving.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, so we ended up like it's a cycle where since our parents maybe didn't have knowledge on savings, even as
that lack of knowledge
was
passed on to you.
Passed on to us.
And of course it keeps getting worse.
Yeah, it keeps getting worse.
Yes.
Yeah, so and that maybe is what led to our vision now.
Exactly.
From experience like Wambui is putting it, from what we learned when we were very young. We didn't even know that we can put together money.
Exactly.
That's true. So our vision was pushed by that. We don't want children out there to actually not make the right decisions. We want them to make their own goals, actually know that they can achieve them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To just be basically to be more aware about money and to have greater knowledge. I remember when I was young, one of the things about money that I remember is that we used to be told to give in Sunday school. So I think my parents would give me some money, and that would be for giving to the teacher in Sunday school. That was one of the things I learned, and I think they were trying to encourage in us, because we were 4 siblings, the importance of giving. Another thing is I could never tell all the money that I received was always for buying sweets and cools. It was never, the aspect of savings was for spending in its entirety, and spending on myself and spending on goodies, not buying anything that is useful. You know, it's basically just sweets and candy. But I think as I grew older, I got into forums where I think I was taught more about money. So, Wambui, what is it that caused you to, how did you, I don't know whether I should ask about where you met, because you're both co-founders and directors at Moncha Africa. How did your goals align? Did you meet at the workplace? Did you have the same vision? Maybe Wambui can give us a little bit of background.
It's interesting that you should mention you're being given money to take to church, to Sunday school. Joyce and I met in church.
Ah, okay.
And as we got to interact and became closer, and we were working in similar, places, we got to realize and share and realize we are having similar issues in life, more to do with the financial illiteracy.
Yes.
That's what had gotten us to our problems. And now looking for ways to end that vicious cycle.
And stop right there, Joyce. What are these? Tell us about the vicious cycle, because a lot of people can relate to that. It's just that they don't maybe talk about it, and they don't see it as an opportunity. For you, you're able to turn your situation or your circumstance into a business opportunity. What was it that you're finding yourself struggling with when it comes to money, in a general way?
Okay. So maybe one of the things I can say is that I have a background in microfinance, credit and banking.
Okay.
I had worked in the field for over 10 years, and actually I had interacted with the challenges that are there in the community.
Yes.
And when we talk of this vicious cycle, actually it's for me it was coming from what I had seen.
Yes.
Like even when solutions of money are taken to the communities, we end up with the same problems. Actually, because there's lack of knowledge.
Yes. What problems are these that you're talking about?
Talking of like when you look at the default rates.
Oh, so people are, number one, going for loans
because of improper use of money.
Yes.
That is where they diversify. They divert.
Exactly. Like you take a loan for this project, but then you use it.
Yeah, like taking a loan for your business and then you're using it to pay school fees.
Exactly.
You know, school fees is not income generating, but a need in the society.
I get it, yes.
So when you look at that, and then also not weighing their abilities, their capability to pay for that money, the business capability, whereby now, even if when it's not properly assessed, you find that maybe some of these clients who are taking these loans, they are not able to actually know how much they are able to pay
back, which means they don't have proper record keeping.
Yeah, true.
They cannot be able to tell you the limit you can give them based on how much they can comfortably pay back.
Yeah, and one thing I also noted is that in most cases when it comes to something like credit, there's that gap whereby you realize that they know how to use the money, they know the money is for the business, but now managing the little they get, that's where the issue actually is. So when we were coming together, we looked at our challenges, we looked at challenges generally, even for these other people, and we discovered maybe there's this gap. But again, there's so much that is being put together for the adults in terms of financial literacy.
Yes.
But now when it comes, what if it started early?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then also the other thing, we also involved in these entrepreneurship trainings for the youth. And again, it becomes a big task when you're introducing them actually to financial services. And some of them are clueless.
They are clueless. They're totally clueless. Yeah, like Wambui, when you talked about earlier that one of the things you do, Joyce, is you go to the Nairobi Stock Exchange. Do you remember the first time you went to the Nairobi Stock Exchange, Wambui? Can you remember? I'm assuming you've been because this is your business.
Oh dear. No, I can't remember.
The reason I'm asking is because I remember when I was a child, watching business news. Used to be such a waste of time because there would be all these numbers, graphs, and I used to wonder, what are these numbers about buying and selling? And this was actually when I was already working. I was at my second job, so I'd already finished university. So I actually, with a group of friends, luckily for me, I was working in a financial institution. So we actually went there one day, and it was even more confusing because you know how it looks. There's a gallery, there are people on the floor, and they're ringing bells. So honestly, the confusion increased
Yeah.
instead of decreasing. But
Yes.
it created in me an excitement about, just getting interested in how people make money at the NSA. So anyway, that was just a by the way. Back to our challenges. I want us to talk a little bit about the personal challenges that maybe you found yourselves in. Joyce has told us about the corporate challenges.
Yes.
What about the personal challenges, which are common? You experience them together, but they're also common to us.
True.
Yeah.
It's that element of not knowing how to manage my money.
Yes.
Yes, I've gotten employed, but how do I don't have even a spending plan. So we don't know how. We do hear about the government doing or even organizations having budgets,
Correct.
financial, returns and all that. But as a person, I don't know. I get a salary. If I have a business, I'll even take money from the business because it's there.
Yes.
But I have no spending plan. I don't even know the condition of my finances.
Correct.
So that is what is ailing the society.
Yes.
But even though I have money, it doesn't mean it's for spending. I need to plan,
Yes.
and even know how, if I'm in business, my streams of income, my spending plan, my budget,
Yes.
just having a clear plan.
I know.
Unfortunately, while growing up, and majority of Kenyans do suffer from that, we don't have that.
We don't have that. Yes.
Yes, and if you're paid on the 31st, by the 5th of the month, a lot of people don't have
They don't
money.
have money, and
So-
the month is not even halfway.
So we keep borrowing, but we have no way of repaying. And this is what I'm calling the vicious cycle.
The vicious cycle. That's
Yes.
right. Yes.
And until we get intervention, and unfortunately, again, majority of us don't know that we need education about the money.
Yes, I don't know why. What makes us think that we are so clever that we'll know how to manage it? It's a huge assumption, and it's wrong because when you look at society, there's a lot of borrowing, a lot of defaulting, a lot of coming to your employer for advances. A lot of times, it gets to a point where auctioneers come and take away your furniture, your car, and these are things that are happening in society. And also, there's the issue of maybe living beyond your means. That is also something that's really affecting us, yeah? One point, what can you say about that?
It's basically as a result of not knowing how to budget for our money, how to plan for our resources.
Yes.
That's basically it. And that is why we thought, how can we best address this?
Yes.
Yes, you will find people who teach adults.
Yes.
But if you want to really change your community, the society, you start from the people who are just about to dive into the income or a wage generating bracket.
Yes.
So that's why we started, we thought of, let's work with the children and instill, because looking back, for me, I always say, I wish I learned this as a little child.
Yes.
I used to have visions. I mean, I would dream, I would do business, I'll do this and that. But I never even thought of how will I spend the money.
Yes.
I just wanted to get money and money and money and money.
Yes.
But I didn't know how to spend for the money.
That's correct.
Yes.
I really like that approach because it is very sustainable. When you see a problem in society, sometimes you try and attack it at the level of adults, but really the best way to be able to make an impact, it is more long term, but it sure gives better results, is when you start teaching the children. So that by the time you're an adult, you are already financially literate. Not 100%, but at least to some level, such that when you come across money, you can be able to know how to manage it. You know, I usually laugh at some of my friends because I see, and let me not say them, and even let me put myself in that situation. It's like when you get money, we have this joke that we usually have at home where we're like, immediately the salary checks in, you're so excited, you now have to overspend so that you can lower the money to manageable portions because it's too much for you. You don't know what to do. So, and shortly before you know it, you've done this, you've done the other that you had not planned for, and shortly there's no money, which is the level you're used to operating at. Then you start calling your brother, calling your friend, calling your neighbor, asking for loans, and it really creates a very complicated situation because now you've borrowed from these people, now you start avoiding them, or you start trying to look for these ones to pay the others, you know, it's a really complicated situation, and a lot of people find themselves in that type of situation. It gets worse when you have children and you have school fees to pay, because you do have these obligations that you can't run away from. So I want to congratulate you so much for starting a company that is going to be a solution, yeah, in the future. You see, because of the work that you're doing in schools, and you're going to tell us a little bit about that, we're going to start generating adults who are aware of how to manage their money. So tell us about that angle at that department at Moncha that basically deals with the children, Joyce.
Okay, the program that deals with the children, basically our approach we have what we call the Young Stewards Club.
Yes.
And the club, this is where we carry them out in schools, depending on the club days.
Okay.
Yeah, they do activities every week, because club days are like you
Once
get a
a
day.
week. Yes.
A day every week. That's once a week. And what happens during that time, our approach is time, talent, and treasure.
Okay.
So we do an 8 weeks program whereby we do life skills.
Okay.
And then that is and at time we focus on how best can they use how best they can use their time.
Yes.
So we do the life skills, and then we have talent.
You have talent, yeah. Time, talent, and
treasure.
Time, talent, and treasure.
Treasure is where now we
them.
bring in money, the
Yes,
concept of
treasure.
money.
Okay.
And talent, this is where, talents are inborn abilities.
Yes.
So every child has a talent. It's only that these talents ought to be nurtured.
That's correct.
Yeah, so they get to do activities, and from these activities, somehow we bring in the concept of kidpreneurship.
Oh, yes.
Whereby, let's say they are doing beadwork, we'll take them through the process of maybe buying,
Yes.
making the beads, the costing bit, just simple ways for the kids to understand.
Yes.
Then after that, we actually help them we help them identify the markets. It's them, so that at least they own up.
Yes.
In Kenya, we have the challenge of unemployment.
We do.
Our vision and our prayer is that in future these children are able now to adopt what they are doing. They already know that they have the talents,
Yes.
and how best they can use their talents.
Okay.
Then when it comes to now the issue of treasure, this is whereby now we give them the concept of like putting together what they've already worked
Being
on.
able to
Yeah,
make.
like if they sell, how to manage that money,
Okay.
and all that. And also making them responsible and knowing that our future depends on them. They're the future of this country. So it's not as we're going to push them. If it comes from them, they will get very responsible
Yes.
future leaders.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they'll get a future of financial freedom.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And Wambui, when you go to schools, what ages do you target?
Usually from 9 to 13.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
Yes.
Somebody, a child as young as 9 years is actually able to understand about money.
Yes.
And I like the way the approach you take, because like if you do bidding and you're able to cost the cost of what you've bought,
Yes.
and then maybe the amount of time you've spent, you can be able to come up with a price that will include a profit.
Yeah.
And they can actually be able to see how money is made.
Yes.
So Wambui, I'm just wondering, when you meet a 9-year-old,
Yes.
because I don't know, are you in many schools?
You're quite a number, yes. You're quite a number.
So do children who are 9 years old understand how money is made?
Well,
Based on your experience.
yes, but before I get into that, how do we do it in schools? As much as we are calling it financial literacy, we develop talent. So when you have kids in, say, art club,
Yes.
so you'll have those who do fine art, those who will do modeling, pottery, all that kind of thing. So it's from there that there are those who are good with they do music, others knit.
Yes.
So from that point, now you start developing the talent. Now as much as also showing them that indeed as a child, you can make something out of this.
That's true.
And even as you progress in life, you can be not just an employee, but you can be a job creator.
Yes.
You know, just opening them. So it's really taking it from the child's level.
Yes.
Because you're not telling them, make money.
No.
It's just, if you're knitting, what do you need? Knitting needles and wool.
And wool, and those things
Yes.
cost money. So you've got to have money to buy them.
You've got to have money to buy them. So how do we do it? Do you have plastic bottles at home you can collect? Do you have old newspapers? Then we sell, because we don't want to ask money from our parents.
Yes.
Little by little. If you're a girl, can you braid hair?
Oh, yes, that's a
Then you get
skill.
something. Can you wash a car? There are a lot of things that happen, you know, at home with our children that they can earn from.
Exactly.
Their skills. And these kids are really talented. It doesn't matter the age.
Yes.
Talent, if it's talent, it's talent. And nobody can take it from them. We can only harness it. So now coming from that element, now you show them how we can do, because the strategy is not so much for them to make the money, but to show them how to grow in that area, in talent and, you know, planning and budgeting. Yes, to kill the greed for lots of money.
I know, and also to just show them that there's a knowledge about it, you know.
Yes.
For example, a lot of children, you find they have what we call desire, and their desire grows. So maybe when they're little, they want a lollipop. Then they graduate from a lollipop to crisps, and they stay in the crisps level for quite a while. Some of them never outgrow. Then after that, they want bikes. After that, they want toys. After that, they want Transformers, you know, all these PlayStations. And one of the things that you're able to immediately tell is that the things that they want, the monetary value of those things keeps increasing.
Actually, when we are taking them through saving, we help them set the savings goals.
Okay.
And those are the items. They'll
Yes.
quote that in 6 months, I want to own this. So they'll be keen on how they put the money
Yes.
together. The other thing that we've noted and that is there in the community is that children operate bank accounts but through their parents.
That's true.
So there's no ownership of what is there. Of course, at a certain age, you cannot tell children, this is the much I've saved for you.
They won't even understand.
But it would help if as a parent, you would pick these children and at least bank with them, go banking with them.
Yes.
And this is one of the exercises that can happen or can take place this week from the parents.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
take your children to the bank, let them empty the piggy banks, let them bank. It will give them a value of safekeeping of their money. It doesn't mean that you tell them that I have $1 million for you in the bank account. No. But even the little they collect, they'll own as they grow up.
Yes.
They'll understand more about the financial service providers.
Exactly.
Some of them believe that the ATM just
gives you
Yeah,
money.
it
They
gives
don't
you
know
money.
it's giving you because
Yeah.
you have put it in.
so they don't have that knowledge of how money gets into the ATM.
That's
At times we even give them exposure of coming with the piggy banks, then they go queue, they get a space. Although that's also a challenge with the banks. We don't have a space for children.
Yes, absolutely.
Because we believe that money is banked by the parents, but it's
parents.
good.
But as a parent, you can always go with your child.
You can always go
and
with your
explain
child.
to them.
Yeah, and actually some of them you'll ask them, do you go banking with your mom or your dad? No. But after you talk, they'll come and tell you, I went banking.
Yes.
The queues were long. We got tired. I got hungry.
I
Mom
wanted
told
to
you
spend.
yeah,
Yes.
and maybe such things.
Okay.
So we take them through step by step so that at least they can understand even where money
comes from.
Money
and
comes
how,
from.
How it is that you're able to either swipe a card when you're leaving the supermarket.
Exactly.
Or go to an ATM and withdraw.
Yeah.
So, okay, so basically, initially the question was based to a 9-year-old. Do you also do this at high school level, or is it at primary school
Our
level?
space is the primary school level.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the ones who are at the top level are now in the grades 8 or class 8.
Yeah, class 8.
Is there a difference between the amount of knowledge they have about finances between the class 8 and 9-year-old class 3?
Of course, for a standard 4 or a grade 4, they don't have a lot of information.
Yes.
But what would shock you, in some of these schools, there's a lot of betting. Teachers are trying to control betting.
Betting is being done by the children or
by the
children?
children. By the children. They have chamas in school.
These are primary school?
We are talking of primary school.
They have chamas?
They have chamas.
What do they do?
And some of these chamas, the teachers have to even collect the cash from the children.
Wow.
Because they've become too much. Some of them, they save in terms of where they have a school feeding program. Maybe you're paying 50 shillings. They opt to buy something cheap. So the other thing that we do, we emphasize on food and nutrition.
Exactly.
Yeah, because you'll go to some public schools, they'll tell you that I was given a 50 bob, but I bought the ngumus.
Exactly.
Yeah,
they are cheap.
The KDF, I ate two.
Yes.
I bought two. Then maybe one is at 5 shillings.
Yes.
And then they
now you're left with 40 shillings.
Yes.
Yeah, and we usually say there's no money in schools. That children are not allowed to come with money. And if teachers check, they'll say that this child only has 50 shillings for lunch. But after that, they'll save that money. And then there are some boys who are telling us that they do it, and at the end of the term, they divide the cash,
the proceeds,
the proceeds of the chama. And some of them say even when their moms and dads are going for the chamas, they carry them. So ni kama watoto, they have their own chama and the parents have their own.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is good, actually.
Which is good.
So
but
I didn't
now,
know that children are so enlightened about the chama concept. But it's of course it makes sense because it is quite widespread.
Only the parent in this case doesn't know that the kid is
That's
also
the
in
thing.
chama.
You see, when you're going for a chama and your child is coming with you and they have their own little one, you're aware of it.
Yeah.
But when you're giving a child money to buy lunch and then they're buying a snack and saving the rest, you see, you're not aware.
Yes.
Another component of financial literacy, that the bit that we're introducing them to banking. You know, there's no financial literacy without the service providers.
Exactly.
You'll get an experience from children who have put money in the home banks.
The piggy banks.
The piggy banks.
Yes.
Yeah, so when they put them in the piggy banks, then at some point, their elder brothers or even the parents who are not even responsible will come picking they'll get the money.
Stealing.
Yeah, stealing.
Is it okay to say, is it stealing or stealing?
And at some point,
there's no bread in the house and you're like, oh, I know where I can get some
coins.
coins.
Of them are very good. Actually, they'll even tell you, yesterday we didn't have flour, so I went to my home bank, I removed some cash and we bought some flour. But some of them will tell you they stopped saving or putting that because of that harassment.
Yes, you're putting in money there only when you want it, you could not find it.
So now you see there's a gap. Because this child, if she knew that she can take that money to a bank,
it would be better for her.
It would be better.
There's more security.
Yeah, there's more security. But again, the age.
Yes. In fact, I'm a little bit unsure about if it is legal to be having chamas in school, honestly.
It's not legal.
So these are things that are happening.
Yeah, actually it's a challenge to the teachers.
Yes.
And sometimes from now interaction with some schools, we've realized that they have to call the parents to come and pick the money. To come and pick the money.
I know.
Because from one incident, there's a boy who had actually had a lot of money. He was wearing the bling blings.
Yeah,
and he was feared in the community, good shoes, only to realize it's what they raise. Some of them tell us even when they bought the mat, they sit on each other.
Oh,
Yeah, so
to
when
be
you
able
see
to
them
pay, 'cause
sitting
you're paying
on
for
each
one
other,
chair.
yeah, you're paying for
Exactly,
one
so that you
space.
can save
Yeah, so if you're charged the 20 bob, so we are paying 120 bob
instead of 40.
instead of
Then you
40.
split the 20. So that
Yeah,
means that the
so at
children
the
are
end
very
of the
aware
day,
of how to save.
they are aware. But now when they are not guided on proper uses of
spend,
money,
yes.
they end up even betting. There's a school we visited and they were like, gambling is okay, betting is okay, it's happening, but they are near the slums. And
Yeah,
these things are
that is
happening.
very shocking, actually. You mean this is happening at primary level? Because I've heard of it at university level, and what we've had at university level from the social media, of course, is where a child maybe is given school fees, bets, and then loses the bet and commits suicide. That I've heard from a couple of universities. So I didn't know that betting is actually so rampant even in the primary schools.
It is.
Yeah.
Which
We
means
even
they
have
also have
children.
phones, smartphones.
Yeah. We even have children who will tell you that they go to the stage every morning. The way they sit, like they call it set,
Bigger set.
kupiga set.
Meaning?
They are showing the other people who are boarding that the mat is
It's
full.
up.
So they'll sit there, then they are paid at 20 shillings.
To work, to do
Just to sit in the matatus.
the way you
To
make
create
it
a
look
name.
like it's full.
Yeah,
So
to
that
make it
people
look-
can be attracted to enter
Exactly.
quickly. But then now when they enter, you come out.
Yeah,
One
and
by
that is
one.
a child.
That's a job. Eh? You're paid for it. 20
And that's
bob.
a child who is supposed to be at
In
home
school.
doing homework.
Yes, at home.
Yeah. So there are so many challenges that are there because they really are not sure about the proper uses of money, how to make that money. And then you get, when we now introduce talent and these kids come together like while doing art and all that, you find that some of these proceeds, they're able to, we have that group that is able now to raise money that way.
Yes.
There's still another child who cannot even afford a
Yes.
meal.
Exactly.
Even if it's at 20 shillings. So some of these, some schools have taken up the initiative, and they are, from the proceeds of the activities,
yes.
they are able now to
have
at
a school
least
feeding
a
program.
school feeding program.
Yeah, Wamboy, tell us a little bit about some of the items that they make at school and how much time it takes, so that, because you also don't want to divert children from
True.
education now into money-making ventures,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah. The clubs in
Yes.
schools, they're allocated 1 hour a week.
Yes.
So it's
Seems
a little,
seems like a little time.
seems like a little time, but you'd be surprised by, like, some schools, the amount of time, what they do in that 1 hour.
Yes.
They're able to make mats, like what we have on the table.
Yes, like what we're using today for our tea, it's been made
Ye-
by some children.
Some of them, like that one you have there,
Yes.
that is done in an hour.
In 1 hour, you're able to do this. Eh?
In 1 hour, you're
and you
able
can
to do
imagine
this.
if this is just by one person.
It's just by, sometimes they can, yes, that's just by one person.
Yeah.
So they're able, in that 1 hour, if they're not able to finish, they have, most they will take is 2 weeks. That's
Okay,
2 hours.
2 hours, yes.
2 hours. So they're able to do, so you can imagine a whole class or in a school working on just talent and the beadwork or artwork, because some of them are really talented even with just fine art.
Yes.
They do so much. So, and that, I think, is the way to go, because there are a lot of kids who waste a lot of time at home.
Yes, that's true.
You see, in school, they're just given that 1 hour. But when they go home over the weekend and in the evenings, they have so much free
So much
time.
time.
So really is to encourage, even the parent especially,
Yes.
to know, to work with the child and to appreciate that they can do so much. Going back to what Joyce is saying, and kids collecting money in chamas and all that, is just lack of guidance, because that child who is wearing an expensive shoe, bling bling, doesn't have a textbook
I know.
costing 200 shillings.
Their priorities are totally misplaced.
Yes.
You know?
So when now in the Young Stewards Club, now we show them that, yes, we may not have money at home, we may not have whatever, but you have skill that you
Yes.
can use, and even those little savings, because anyway they happen at home.
Exactly, yes.
You know, you can do something
Yes, that's true.
to improve your education, for improvement, self-improvement.
Yes,
Because
and
also that's what we do,
okay.
self-improvement.
Wow, that's actually
Yes.
very, very good. And I like the point you're saying that what they need is guidance.
Guidance.
Because if they are already, they seem to be quite aware about the fact that money can be saved. Because what you're telling me is they're just indicators that they know that if they have 50 shillings, they know that if they don't spend all of it, they'll save. But the thing is, now when you save, what is it
what
that
do you
you're
do
going
with
to
them?
do?
Yeah.
So they need to be guided about what their priorities are at that age. Because honestly, bling bling and fancy shoes, when you don't have an exercise book, there's no sustainability. And you need to just keep educating them on spending. And you know, a lot of times when we're taught about money, we're taught about savings, but we never taught about spending. So I'm happy to hear that you've noticed that there's a gap there.
Yes.
Yeah. And you actually talked about you teach them 3 things: to save, to spend, and to give.
Yeah, the entire component of financial literacy is whereby we take them about savings, budgeting, spending, and then also we talk about how to earn, the right ways to earn. That's where the talents are coming in. Because for a child, you may give them depending on where they are, depending on their background. Some of them even get paid allowances by their parents.
That's correct.
So the other good to note that it's usually a partnership.
Yes.
We are working with the children. We have to actually have a communication with the parents.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not us and the children.
The
If
parents
it's a
have to be
school,
in the
there has
picture.
to be a communication even with the parents.
Exactly.
And also, we also have to follow some procedures that we are cleared even to be with those, to be in the schools.
That's right.
So basically, what is important is to note that children learn from the society, whatever is trending. It's not that they know they understand the importance of betting and all that, but they've heard of 2 people who've earned millions.
Exactly.
Yeah, and maybe they are going through challenges.
Yes.
When they buy those bling blings and all that, it's not because it's of any importance to them,
It's because of
but
what
they
they're
want to
watching.
look like
Someone they saw on TV.
yeah, exactly.
Someone who's a celeb to them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're aping.
Yeah, so now what happens is now just changing their mindset on all these, that not everything that is offered by the society is
palatable for you.
Yeah.
You can be able to make a choice.
Actually, it's all about choices.
Yes.
Especially when we are taking them through the life skills, we take them through decision making and making choices. Yeah, and we let them actually, we even include other partners, whereby even somebody who's had an issue with drugs can actually even give a talk for them to see.
You've actually brought up the topic of drugs, because you see, when people have money, you know, we've basically said here that our children are having disposable income, whether it's 5 shillings or 10 shillings or more. The fact that you have disposable income means that people can come and try and get that from you. So what can you say about our schools? Are they safe in terms of are people peddling drugs there because they have the money to buy?
Now, when you mix excess money and
lack of
free time,
yes,
that spells doom for the society.
It is a recipe for disaster.
Recipe for disaster. And that's why we are saying this element of working with in partnership, even with the parent especially.
Yeah, the parent need to know.
You know, knowing, as much as we are giving them the knowledge, the education, the parent to be involved.
Yes.
To know what their children are doing, because you notice some parents will know when their children have money. Their children, you know, you can tell.
Yes.
Because the carelessness in spending. But some parents don't have an idea. Some parents don't have an idea where their children, what time they come home from school and what time did they leave school. So now that's the issue. So that's why we are calling on parents to please get involved.
More involvement.
More involvement. Be there for your children, knowing how are they progressing. Can you notice a change in them, the mood, those little things? Because remember, we are dealing with little children. You will be able to, if you're involved, you will be able to tell that this child
To pick some
to pick
signs.
something here and there, but much more to even be purposeful
Yes.
in shaping them.
Intentional, yes.
Yes. So when we say this child, we would want them maybe to, even in their neighborhood, to work with other children. Remember, we are also in the life skills. We are training leadership
Exactly.
and creativity and innovation. So we also want them to have the same impact in their community. Get other children instead of just whiling away your time
and watching
yes,
cartoons.
do something worthwhile,
Yeah.
and the parents also to be involved as we work together.
Actually, we are not only in schools, because schools are even in the estates, whereby we have these groups of kids who can work together. They can come together, form a club.
Oh.
Then we'll
Especially
work with
during the holidays.
even over the weekends.
Even weekends, yeah, because
Yeah.
because time is a resource. I like that when you're talking about resources and financial skills, you're talking about time, because a lot of times people do not quite. Yes, people say time is money, but as you're wasting it, it means that you're wasting money. People don't internalize
Yeah.
that. So weekends actually are very critical for children. They find that they don't have
Just for a few hours.
engaged, yeah. Holidays, and now we know we have the long holidays. The
Yeah.
2 months holidays, parents panic about what to do.
And even the 1 week.
The 1 week midterm.
Yeah, the break.
You know?
Yes.
What is it that your children are doing? Because another thing is, when it comes to money, and when children start to feel that there is not enough money, or they feel that they can make money, are our children being tempted to work in wrong types of, to take part in activities where they're paid, but activities that are vices? You know, like that one you talked about, being used by touts to sit in a matatu.
Yeah. And
Make
also
it
in
look
the,
full, you know.
maybe another example is in the slums, we had a case where a girl is orphaned, and they are the siblings, and then the neighbor is pushing this girl to, actually she's not telling her what she expects her to do, but she's telling, you move around, kila jioni you come with a packet of flour. So this head teacher now decides, I'll make sure that that household gets a packet of flour every day. So now when the girl now presents her case, now the principal now organizes with the girl that every day I'll make sure you get a packet of flour. You don't have to do what is happening in the so if they had the resources, if there are those resources that the girls come together and she joins these kids who are doing something constructive,
Yes.
she wouldn't get bothered about her food on the table in the evening,
house,
because in some of these schools we may assume that the kids are all feeding, but some of them even decide to run away because I'm coming to class, I'm very hungry, I won't get anything.
And maybe there's an expectation at home.
There's
to
that
need to go back with
expectation.
something.
Yeah.
You know, and really we need to talk to the parents also who are struggling financially, because it needs to be communicated that child labor, there are laws about it. You know.
In fact,
Sometimes
some
children.
of the approaches, some of the approaches they want to take is that they want to empower the mothers to these children, because from some of them, the children are neglected and all that.
Yes.
So the program also will accommodate the
Yes.
parents of these children.
So it's quite a holistic sort of view.
Yeah,
Because you
it
see,
is.
this is a big problem. It has to be tackled from all directions. So you
true.
talk to the children, give them some knowledge, talk to the parents, work together, and even encourage them also to be entrepreneurs if they can at that point. And also maybe educate the parents and tell them that, you know, let the children be children. Let it not be required of them to be the ones also fending for themselves. I know sometimes life can be very difficult, but you can imagine you're a child, you're supposed to be excelling in school. At the same time, you're supposed to be coming home with a flour,
A packet of flour.
a packet of flour.
Yeah. One of the
How?
problems that there is in the community is that majority, and especially in the slums, majority of the parents themselves are teenage parents.
Yeah, that's true.
So they are at a state of hopelessness. And that hopelessness is,
It's passed on.
yes, because you're finding someone with a 9-year-old, 10-year-old child. How old are they?
Yes, that's true.
They're 20, going through
They're teenagers, basically. Young
Yeah,
adults.
just barely out
Trying
of
to figure
teenagehood,
out.
trying to figure
Yeah.
out life. And this is not the only child they have many other children. So it's really, it's not to mean that these kids cannot be, there's no intervention. Yes, there is, and we can do it through the talents and, you know, awareness. So there's a lot to be done.
And how long have you had your organization, Montreal Africa?
Since 2015.
Since 2015.
Yeah.
Do you have any success stories that you can share with us, so that at least we can have some hope? Because the picture we have just created is a bit dire. But I'm happy that you're there, number one. You are solution providers, and please keep it up.
Yeah.
Let me not ask you about your challenges for now. Let me ask you about your successes. What is it that inspires you and makes you keep going?
It's also good to point out maybe a challenge.
No, I don't want to talk about challenges. We'll talk about challenges later.
Okay, one of our successes is where now you're able to, you know, some of the, no, not challenges, we are talking about successes.
Yes.
sorry.
Okay.
So a success at times is seen when you can actually see a case.
Yes.
Here we'll only explain, but it's good, the successes can be seen through the impact we've had on these children, whereby we've managed to put the children together and we know they have the books, they have something that is putting them together. And also like we've been able to bring their talents out. They can be seen. You've linked them to somebody who can help them nurture the talents, like the mentors.
Exactly.
You know, there is somebody who is mentoring this child, such that even as they continue with their studies, and you know, when there's hope, there's also concentration in their studies, because we try and balance a lot. We don't want it to come out like we are bringing business ideas to these children. We are only thinking about money.
That's why for balance.
Actually, that's why we are approaching it in a holistic way, whereby we are looking at how we can nurture you as a child, your character and all that. Then work on your talent, minding that we have to strike a balance. A talent will not go alone. You have also to be educated. It's a basic need. And then from there, we work with you until you're able to now secure your own future. Actually, the things we are talking about right now, when we talk of Vision 2030, how many years to 2030? They are only 11. We are.
The way they used to look like they were
far away.
30 years. Oh my God.
They are 11. So how old will a 14-year-old be in those 11 years?
25.
Exactly. Who will be the youth then? They'll be the ones. What if they secure their future right now? And we also like showing the kids that there's a life you're given by your parents that you won't be able to give to your own children if you don't put things in place right now. The school you're schooling in, you may not afford it when it comes to paying for your own children. You may despise, maybe right now you're despising the public schools, and you're in a good school, maybe a private school, but you may get surprised that your child will get educated in the public school if priorities are not set in place. They are not in place. So we also like them to visualize and see their future. Where do they want to be? How can they sacrifice now for their own future?
And stop being so short-sighted and at least have a long-term approach, because honestly, when you talk about 2030, it seems very far, but when you add those years to your age, you realize, oh my, I need to do something, to change something now for that future to be able to be real and to be better than what I'm experiencing now. So ladies, it's almost time up, but we have a few minutes. I'd like to give Wambui an opportunity to give a parting shot to the viewer.
Okay, in Montreal Africa, our slogan is sustainable transformation. And that is what we are doing with the young people, knowing that they are able. We are born with God has given us capabilities, abilities, and that is what we need to dig deep into to bring it out for our own wellness, for our own economic health. So let's dig deep, and please check us out, Monty Africa. This week, though, is Global Money Week. Google, and let's learn together.
Thank you, Wambui. Thank you so much. And Joyce, please give us a parting shot and also tell us how we can be able to get hold of your company. If you're on social media, if you have a website, give us the information.
Yeah, to reach us, maybe on Global Money Week, theme this week is Learn, Save, Earn. That's the theme. That is Learn, Save, Earn.
Okay.
Yeah, and basically just talk about money, talk about it everywhere, talk about it even to the children and anybody else, because it will help everybody. You can reach us. We have a website that is www.montyafrica.or.ke.
Okay.
And then also we are on Facebook, that is Monty Africa Children Financial Literacy.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll be running campaigns this week, showing activities that we are doing, and even over the holidays you can look for us. We'll work with your children. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much, ladies. Continue the good work that you've started.
Thank
you. Let's change our society, because that's actually what you're doing. In the long term, we're going to have people who are financially literate, people who are able to earn, save, and spend their money in a wise way, thanks to the work that you're doing. So thank you so much, viewer, for joining us. It's been a pleasure, and we shall see you next time. Thank you. Bye.